So I welcome you on behalf of ICT Academy and on behalf of the entire academic fraternity to address this higher education educators. We did understand that you had other meetings and you could not complete it on time. So sorry to bother you at this moment, because we thought it is apt to get you to speak to these educators, because all along we have been listening to educators, academic leaders, policy makers, and industry people. Everybody were talking about the future of learning or future of education, and everybody were also equally, I mean, the participants were equally worried about the digital penetration in the rural, the students having becoming digitally literate, the mindset of parents there, because online learning, is it burdening the parent? There were a lot of psychological questions. Then we thought it is apt to listen to somebody who has been in charge of driving the Digital India program from the government of India. And as CSE e-governance services limited has been doing a tremendous job, and we are very proud to have with us Mr. Rishikesh Patankar, who is the chief operating officer of CSE e-governance limited, and it is part of the Ministry of Electronics and IT. And Mr. Rishikesh takes care specifically, while he's chief operating officer, but his focus is on education, skill development, and the academic side of the CSE governance. Now, Mr. Rishikesh has more than 20 years of experience, and he has worked with national R&D labs, and also like you, he has been with top universities, and also he's a very expert, and he's been with the Indian Navy. So he holds 3 master degrees, computer science, IT, and NET qualified. I think for this audience you make more meaning, because they are all from your fraternity. So with this, let me invite Mr. Rishikesh Patankar to address our educators of India.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, Anbu sir. I would like to first congratulate ICT Academy. They are doing a wonderful job. In fact, ICT Academy is one of our examination agency in one of the largest projects for digital literacy across rural parts of India. And I would like to thank ICT Academy for this. Starting, what is CSC? CSC is basically a part of Digital India programs. Common Service Centers are, as they are called. We have nearly 3.75 lakh common service centers located across the length and breadth of the country. CSCs provide a lot of services. Firstly, education, skill development, insurance, banking, Aadhaar, and then a lot of G2C and B2C services are also part of the CSC network. In fact, if you see the vision of Digital India's vision talks about digital infrastructure as utility to every citizen, governance and services on demand, and digital empowerment of citizens. So these are the 3 aspects on which common service centers also work, providing the digital infrastructure like bank account to every citizen, identity to every citizen like a Aadhaar card, maybe governance and services on demand like a PAN card to a citizen, maybe a passport to a citizen, and then comes the digital empowerment of citizens like lot of social services, scholarship programs for youth of India. There are a lot of other scholarships which are available at various levels. Then digital literacy program, universal digital literacy program, all come under the digital empowerment of the citizens. So common service centers are basically the part of the larger Digital India initiative, and we are working towards achieving the $5 trillion economy, as our Honorable Finance Minister had initially said. Moving ahead, if you see the Indian roadmap as such, India is the largest country where we have unique digital identity programs. We have, in fact, as on today, we have 1.3 billion Aadhaar cards. If you see the total number of Android app downloads across the country, it is approximately 20 billion. 20 billion Android apps have been downloaded by Indians across villages, towns. Then if you see the mobile phone subscriptions, if you see the current TRAI report which has been published, it says 1.16 billion mobile phone subscriptions are there. If you see the internet subscriptions, they are around 680 million. If you see the number of smartphones which are available in the country, approximately 300 million smartphones are there. And the number of users who are engaged on social media is approximately 300 million plus. So this is the digital map of India. And if we, recently there has been a report which has been published by IAMAI and Nielsen, which talks about rural India having 227 million plus internet users, which are slightly more than the urban India, almost 10% more. So that is a unique opportunity for the country. And during this pandemic also, a lot of institutions, lot of academic institutions, organizations, even government has moved on to the digital economy and moving ahead and using the digital tools in order to move ahead and do their work. If you see the same report which says that there are around 71 million kids who are between 5 and 11 years of age who are using the online mobile phones of their parents in order to work. So seeing all these reports, seeing all the data which is available, is a huge demand which is created for digital literacy. And I think this is the right time where country is focusing, and I think we are the second largest after China in most of the other digital technologies which are being used. Coming to the education system of India, if you see the current data which is published by Niti Aayog as well, there are around 800 higher education universities, around odd 40,000 colleges, 14 lakh higher education teachers, then 30 million students in higher education, over 1.5 million schools are available, where 8 million plus school teachers are actually teaching the candidates, and 260 million students in the school. So this is the largest kind of network across the world, and the education system, I think, is a unique and during this pandemic also it has shown tremendous results in terms of moving ahead. If you see the current education system, the focus is on quality part of it. Quality assurance and quality control are the most important things. Quality education needs to be delivered to the end mile in order to move ahead. Most of the students at both at school level and higher education level would like to have quality education delivered to them. And most of the institutions, the schools, the universities are catering towards that. They are trying to build in quality. They are improving their processes in order to deliver quality education to the people. Then the integrated digital education now is the digital education world, and lot of education platforms are now readily available. There are both open sources as well as legacy systems which are being used by universities as well as schools. And I think the digital education platform has given a supplementary kind of input to the students, so that students are able to understand both the classroom lectures as well as during the free time they can actually log into the digital education world and see the classes which they have missed, or they want to improve upon certain topics or subtopics. Also here important factor is the local language. The localization is most important. If you go into the interior parts of any state, the northeastern part of India, we need to have local language content. I think that is the part where a lot of efforts needs to be made. A lot of schools and also universities and institutions are coming up with local language teachers, so that they are teaching a particular technical subject in a local language, so that teachers are able to deliver it in a much efficient and adaptable way. And the students also use these multimodal tools in order to learn. So students also grow and the faculty members actually also grow. If you see the current ministry's initiative, the Ministry of Human Resource Development has given us portals like Diksha, ePathshala, then open education resources. The Swayam platform, in fact, is a very large system where a lot of content right from class 9th to PG is available. The NCSLs as well as the Swayam Prabha. So I see a lot of work being done in terms of education, both by the private sector, the public sector, as well as the government of India, in order to boost the education and skill development scenario in the country. Further, talking about the digital content delivery is most important. You have a lot of content which is developed either in PDF, audio, video, AR, VR, and lot of now edutech, lot of artificial intelligence and machine learning is being used in education technologies as well. I think this is the most important aspect, and learning in schools as well as higher education systems, the skill schools, the skill labs become almost most important in terms of moving ahead. Right now, if you see, we are in the current which is called the Industry 4.0, or the fourth industrial revolution, which talks about technologies like artificial intelligence, which I had earlier mentioned, robotics, big data, cloud, 3D printing, additive manufacturing, blockchain, and so on and so forth. So there are a lot of IR, industrial revolution technologies which have come up, and I think education is one of the sector which is largely affected by these uh, industry 4.0 technologies, and most of the institutions are actually using it. The cloud, whether it is a cloud computing platform, whether it is big data, or it is artificial intelligence, or it may be a blockchain. So all these technologies are actually being used by our universities and colleges, and a lot of small schools or small universities which don't have access to that. I think we need to have a mentor kind of uh, uh, relationship with those institutions in order to move ahead. So that would pave the right direction, and students can actually get benefit out of that. Further, coming to the current budget announcements which were made by our finance minister during their budget speech, it talked about the national education policy which has come up, which will actually transform the India's higher education system to the global best levels. Then world-class educational institutions which would come up, the MOOC courses, the massive online courses which will come up, the Study in India program, which is a huge initiative, the greater autonomy and the focus on better academic courses which are being given to the universities. So all these efforts of government, I think, are in the right direction in order to achieve India's $1 trillion economy digital opportunity, which is the focus right now of the government. Coming back to the common service centers or CSCs, we are basically we do a concept called DBT. It's not direct benefit transfer, but it is called digital doctor, digital banker, and digital teacher. And in terms of digital teacher, we focus upon the digital literacy, the legal literacy, the financial literacy, getting candidates clear the competitive exams, and then maybe certain digital Sahayak schools, also called as the remedial schools, which can actually give us the right direction ahead. So these are the initiatives by Common Service Center in terms of uh, education as such and digital literacy. In fact, we run the largest digital literacy program for Government of India, which is called the Pradhan Mantri Gramin Digital Saksharta Abhiyan, or Prime Minister Rural Digital Literacy Mission, which aim is to cover 60 million people across India. We have already trained around 30 million plus people, and it is a huge task in order to move ahead. Coming to this program, if you see the overall digital literacy initiatives, you will see that a lot of people do not have access to computers and mobile phones. So there was an opportunity where we train the candidates on digital aspects of it, the financial inclusion of it, so that the people, the citizens in the rural areas, the semi-urban areas can actually use these digital technologies in order to move ahead. Right after demonetization, and we also see during the COVID pandemic scenario where there is a lockdown, people are actually using the digital infrastructure, the digital services which are available in order to go ahead and do their day-to-day work. In fact, a lot of states, you will find a lot of new initiatives, lot of lot of great ideas which have come about. Lot of students have actually contributed to it. I think this is a great initiative in order to move ahead and focus. Then coming to the financial literacy part of it, I think financial literacy is most important. If you see the total banks in the rural areas, there are around odd 55,000 banks which are at the rural level. So people in the village or in a gram panchayat, it becomes very difficult to take out or withdraw money or deposit money. So I think the financial inclusion part of it, the Aadhaar enabled payment system, the mobile apps, the financial apps which have come up. I think the BHIM app, the UPI system, which is actually promoting no cash and go digital initiatives. I think these are the technologies, the fintech technologies, the fintech companies which have come up. I think these are the right aspects in order to move ahead in terms of financial literacy. People are aware of how to do financial transactions and getting ahead on that path. Then further coming to common service centers, in fact, we are doing a large survey for Government of India program implementation, which is called the Seventh Economic Survey, where we will be covering around 27 crore households and 7 crore establishments. It's kind of huge network where people trained by us will be going to the enterprises and collecting the data, as well as people going to the households and collecting the data. So in overall, total 27 crore establishments would be covered, and around 25 crore households and 7 crore establishments would be covered out of this. So in fact, we have trained around 1 million plus people as enumerators. Enumerators are the people who can actually go into the field and collect the data. So this becomes an important aspect. The second aspect is the supervisor aspect. So both these combined together will give an edge in terms of data collection, so that the government can actually look at this data and can frame the policies onto this data. So CSCs have been instrumental in doing the 7th economic survey for the country. Common service centers have done a lot of legal literacy initiatives across the country. We are training the local citizens in the local areas in terms of what legal literacy is all about, what are the local laws which are there, what are the laws in northeastern region, what are the laws in say Jammu and Kashmir, and giving citizens aspects so that they are able to access the legal services. In fact, we run the Tele-Law program, which is under Department of Justice, Ministry of Law and Justice, where actually citizens can go to a particular common service center and get a pre-litigation advice from the panel lawyer. So that is the initiative. We have already covered around 2 lakh plus cases, and advices have been given to these citizens. So I think this is a wonderful kind of initiative in terms of giving legal literacy to the citizens. The other aspect of it is providing the important aspects of budget. What is a budget? What is an investment? How to do investment? How to do budgeting and all that? Why not to fall into a Ponzi scheme? So that is also being covered by common service centers. In fact, we have done large programs which are called the investor awareness programs for Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So a lot of initiatives have been done in that direction. In fact, we work with a lot of large institutions like SIDBI, where we did entrepreneurship awareness programs in all the 115 aspirational districts of the country. We work with UNICEF. We had worked earlier with UNESCO in terms of training the women entrepreneurs in digital skills and digital literacy. We are working in almost all gram panchayats and villages across the country in order to provide the last mile connectivity. In fact, Common Service Center is a internet service provider. We also do O&M for BharatNet, which is the National Optic Fiber Network project, where the connectivity is being provided at the gram panchayat level, so that a lot of people at the village level, gram panchayat level, can actually use this connectivity and can access basic education, healthcare, as well as they can improve their livelihoods due to these initiatives. So coming back to it, we'll run a lot of courses, basically all the NILIT courses, the National Institute of Open Schooling, the registration part of it is part of our programs. We have tied up with large institutions like IEEE, where we provide large 4 courses on IoT, as well as on blockchain and other initiatives. We have tied up with Symbiosis as well as IGNOU to provide courses in both graduation and post-graduation level. Coming to skills, actually, we have a tie-up with National Skill Development Corporation, Haryana government, as well as Vishwakarma Skill University, which has come up in Haryana, where we are doing small pilots in terms of entrepreneurship training to our village level entrepreneurs, as well as rural youth, in order to move ahead. Then we have tied up with large corporates like Hero Motors, TVS and Siemens, Mahindra, and all that. So we run large kind of skill courses through our CSC Academy centers. In fact, in India, if you see the overall demographic, we have around 750 districts, 6,500 blocks, 2.5 lakh gram panchayats, and 6.5 lakh villages. So to take any program to the last mile, to the citizen of a particular gram panchayat or a village, you need to have that kind of framework. And I think the government of India has pushed the common service centers in the right way in order to close this gap and try to provide a lot of technological support in order to move ahead. Then coming to education, in fact, if you see the overall education scenario in a typical classroom, there are a lot of students in a particular classroom, and each student's understanding of a particular topic or subtopic is different. So a lot of organizations, including IITs and large universities, have come up with adaptable learning systems or the intelligent systems which actually paces based on the particular pace of a child and can actually cater to that. I think that is the required initiative in this direction, where actually a student who is undergoing training can actually get a personalized kind of learning, so that the student can actually succeed in a particular course. Then I think remote proctoring of an exam is a very important thing. I have been talking to various universities and institutions where during this pandemic also a lot of requirements were there to conduct the assessments, the internal assessments, and the proctored exams. But since it is a lockdown, in fact, a lot of companies are there who do remote proctoring. In fact, Ministry of Skill Development are doing a lot of remote proctoring exams. In fact, in our project also, the Pradhan Mantri Gramin Digital Saksharta Abhiyan, we are doing a lot of remote proctoring. In fact, the ICT Academy, one of our examination agency, also does remote proctoring of the candidates giving the exams in the rural areas. So I think that is the next initiative, and I think remote proctor exam and security of a particular exams would actually go ahead in terms of giving students a kind of facility so that they can actually give the exam at their comfort of their homes, or maybe walk into a nearest center, and the exams are open, so that actually in the morning till evening they can just walk into any exam center and give the exam. So I think these are the right steps, and most of the universities, I think they are also moving in the same direction. They are actually providing a lot of flexibility to a particular student in order to upload their assessments and upload their examination papers and write their assignments and all that. And a lot of initiatives like online training by the faculties have actually helped the student in order to move ahead. Then the video conferencing solutions, I think this is one of the great initiative. I think Ministry of Electronics and IT, in fact, they have advertised for coming up with a video conferencing solution, which will basically cater to the large public welfare. I think that would be a nice step forward, and I think these video conferencing solutions would have got a boost now. And since a lot of institutions are now using it, I think we can actually use these in order to provide a lot of supplementary education in terms of training the candidates and giving them right kind of tips and tricks in order so that these students succeed. And lastly, the mobile penetration. Actually, I gave you certain numbers in terms of mobile connectivity and number of mobile phones, smartphones which are available in India. In fact, in India, we have a total 120 crore as telecom subscribers in India, and approximately 117 crore are mobile subscribers. So there's a huge opportunity, and I think the mobile learning is also rightly moving ahead, and a lot of apps are now available where actually mobile learning is happening, and a lot of students are actually using the mobile phones in order to move ahead. So I think that was my input towards this. And
thank you, sir. No, thank you very much for your inputs. I think you covered the almost entire gamut of digital India, sir. Always these our educators have a feel that the internet penetration is a challenge in rural India. Do you foresee, because I'm sure you're not directly dealing with it, but still, you being in the ministry, you can give us some inputs. Are we really ready to make sure every student in rural will get into digital learning, sir?
So basically, if you see the 2011 census actually, as well as the 2014 report of the National Sample Survey Organization, which talked about the digital divide, almost 94% of the rural people do not have access to the computers. Computer means mobile phone and smartphone and all that. So that was the gap actually. But after 2014, lot of work has actually gone into the mobile connectivity aspects, the improving the backbone of the country. The BharatNet project has in fact connected all the 1 lakh gram panchayats, and I think in next few years, I think we will have all the gram panchayats and all the villages actually connected with a fiber optic, so that students can actually get connected to a large network and access most of the education services, the healthcare services, and all that. So I think the next census, in fact, will give us the right picture. But I quoted the Nielsen IMI report, which suggested that actually rural people are having access more to the mobile phones, and the internet subscriber base is more than in the urban area. So I think that is the right kind of step. And once the actual data from the government comes out in the census or maybe some other report, which will actually give us the way ahead.
Okay, so I think educators must be aware of this, no, because now how authenticate Rishi is talking is with one simple reason: several lakhs of the rural CSCs are available in every rural part, no, right from Assam to Kashmir to Kanyakumari, every even village, village level panchayat has a VLE who runs a local CSC. So almost they Rishi and the entire team has a track of which location really has internet, really are taking some services on day-to-day basis. I'm sure your messaging is giving a lot of boost for us to understand that technology is not going to be behind, and they are already there. It is already there. Sir, according to you, we are operating CSCs across India. Which are the areas, like you mentioned, Northeast? Do you see still challenge in few states or few pockets?
Yes, Anbu sir, if you see the northeastern part of India, because of the overall terrain, actually the mountains and hilly areas, I think connectivity becomes a little difficult. Even you experience it in urban areas as well, like Delhi also. Maybe sometimes you find a lot of there are certain disruptions happening in the network, and I think the government is working towards that, improving the overall backbone, the infrastructure of the country, and the time would not be there where all the people actually are online and can access the education services. In fact, education is the heart behind most of the success stories.
Excellent, sir. Excellent. Thank you very much, sir. Thanks for your input. Thank you very much for taking time out of your regular schedules and supporting us and making all educators realize how digital India and how things are going forward. So thank you so much for spending your time and giving your inputs on behalf of us.
Thank you, Dr. Sir. Thank you, ICT Academy, for giving an opportunity. I would like to thank you, everyone, all the listeners today. Thank you very much.